What is going on YouTube? Yo, Soy Arms and I'm back with another YouTube video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday. We are officially really close to 2025 and that's going to go ahead and wrap up the year. Crazy year in terms of, getting better as a trader. I hope you guys have the same reflection as well. If not, 2026 is really the year to turn it around, right? New year, new me, new you, new trader, right? Fix your stuff and let's get to it, right? So, today was a really good example of the O5 model. By the way, I have been really silent in my Discord and really silent on YouTube overall. Wow, Bruce Brown has ready to sign with the Lakers. Bro, I do not want Bruce Brown. Do not come to my team. Why would no. No. We do I can assure you we do not want Bruce Brown. Anyways, this is my currently P&L of December. Really solid, whatever. I'm copy trading 5 eval accounts on TopStep, and then people are like, Project X have been having their stuff. Luckily, I haven't really been trading during those days, but TopStep's the general chat for like Top Step or like Alpha Futures, because they use Project X, has been so funny. Like they be saying out of pocket stuff to the admin. It's actually a good time just scrolling through Discord and just hopping in that chat and just reading what people are saying. Dude, they're all pissed off. It's funny. Don't get me wrong though. It's definitely annoying to definitely do need to fix your stuff, but for the most part, it's a good laugh, right? So this is my current P&L. So today we made 521. Multiply that times 5. You can easily do the math. Simple math, right? If you saw my last video, you know what my O5 model consists of, right? So let's go ahead and talk about why my 5-minute model framework is a good framework. And let's go ahead and start, right? So let's go ahead and market open 6:30 over here, right? And then let's start on the higher time frame. Higher time frame wise, right? We do have some buy side here inside this 4-hour gap right here. Nothing really much happening. We zoom down to the 1 hour. We have an hourly gap sitting right over here. Now, so inside of this hourly gap, there's no actual SMTs, and ES kind of NQ kind of tapped into it, but we failed to take out this buy side, which is okay. We failed to take out this buy side, but what my model here consists of is obviously, taking buy side would have been a plus and given us a more of a reason to continue to go lower and take out, some of these engineered lows sitting down over here, right? These lows look really nice. So higher time frame wise, kind of just looking to see what would happen at this hourly. I did not take much, right? I didn't take much. I didn't take this trade, but this overall is a pretty decent trade, right? So if you watched my last video, which I'm gonna go ahead and link in the description below, 5-minute framework, right? 5-minute framework, and the model consists of true manipulation, inverse for value gaps, and it's gonna be an A plus model if you have buy side swept or you have some sort of SMT, right? So we're tapping into this hourly, and this the reason why I like the O5 model is it allows you to not take trades when you're not supposed to. If you are a person who takes trades and likes to jump the gun and you're trading inverses and you're getting caught in chop, well, look at this 5-minute, right? If you're using the 5-minute as a framework, this definitely would have saved you off market open, right? Look at this chop. This is chop right here, nothing here. Going down to the 1 minute. Let's go see what the 1 minute is doing, right? We do have a bunch of fair value gaps here. We're kind of just hanging around going sideways. Now, my model consists of true manipulation inside a higher time frame PD array, right? So what this in true manipulation, what I mean is, turtle soup, some sort of high inside a higher time frame get taken, and if there's an SMT, that would have made this a plus plus, right? So on the 5-minute, we're currently tapping, right? This is buy side. We failed to seek it, right? Unfortunately, we did not seek it. I was kind of hoping for us to seek this buy side. That would have been extra confirmation of, price maybe wanting to continue lower and, take out all of these resting lows sitting down over here. But there is a form of manipulation here, and it's true, right? True manipulation sitting at right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and mark this out, right? So this is the true manipulation, right? True manipulation happening inside a higher time frame PD array. Now, 5-minute framework. What do I mean about the 5-minute? Right, if you look at this manipulation happening on the 1 minute and you're a little bit too zoomed in, you're pretty much not going to think much of it until this move down here happens, right? Now, don't get me wrong. This is a good, strong move, and we take out all these lows and take out all of this, and you're like, oh, wow, like, where's my trade? Well, you could have entered here, right? I mean, you could have entered here if you're, stuck on the 1 minute, but the important thing of the O5 is using the 5 model, using the 5 minute as a framework, right? We're using the 5 minute as a framework to discuss and to distinguish current price objective, right? So here we have true manipulation, right? Here we have true manipulation, right? We sweep these highs inside of higher time frame. Unfortunately, again, we did not sweep buy side, and there's no form of SMT here. This would be really nice if this was an SMT here. This would have been A++. Now, using the 5 minute as a framework, as you can see, right, we do have, right, we did sweep. Oh, so this is the, right, we do have a break of structure. Right here is the highest pullback before making up the high. So we do have a break of structure here, shift in price, and we do end up forming a fair value gap through this, right? So we're offering displacement. This was a good displacement candle through this, right? And we have a 5 minute fair value gap sitting right over here, which opened up, right? So this is the O5 model at its peak. This is the O5 model at its peak on the 5 minute, right? So we're aligning the 5 minute time frame. Give me a sec. We're using the 5 minute as, our framework, as our mapping, in order to see true price structure and, what really price is looking more zoomed out, right? A lot of times traders like to trade on the 1 minute and they're too zoomed in and don't necessarily get the full picture. Higher time frame wise, like, listen, if the hourly was as perfect as it is, this would be simple. Because look at this, right? Hourly for value gap here. We swept this. Easily take some shorts here. This would have been fine. But our job as day traders is literally catching our piece of the pie and using the higher time frame narrative, right? If you're a swing trader and you have so much capital and you're trading the hourly and stuff like that into swing trades, that is perfect, right? A lot of times YouTubers and, just people who, create their own model tend to use the higher time frame in order to show their distinguishment of their model. And the reason being is because the higher time frame holds higher power, and everything just looks way cleaner on the higher time frame, right? So the objective of the O5 model, is to get a piece of the higher time frame narrative and using the 1 minute as more of a precise entry. That's why a lot of people tend to use 5 minute tap and then 1 minute inversion. You get what I'm saying? But listen, higher win rate would come with true manipulation, and this is why I like the O5 model. Unfortunately, again, there's no SMT here, right? So using the 5 minute framework, right, we have our true manipulation here inside of the higher time frame. If only there was an SMT here, that would have made it A++. And here is the model, right? Here is the framework on the 5 minute, right? So we have a displacement here. You could have re-entered, right? As soon as you see that we're rejecting this 5 minute, there is a reason why this gives it narrative of to why price should continue lower, and potentially, you could put your break even here and then maybe potentially target this for 173 points, which is absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, I did not take this, right? So we're using the 5 minute framework. There's true manipulation here. Clean break of structure, right? Again, you have to remember we're using the 5 minute and the 5 minute framework as our mapping point, right? This allows traders to feel a little bit more confident, right? Using the 5 minute, I've come to like the narrative that the 5 minute tends to allow me to feel a little bit more comfortable in terms of, price reading. And the reason is because I get to skip this chop. I see that we're displaced. I see the framework on the 5 minute. If you go down to the 1 minute, if you were to decide to take a 1 minute trade, your 1 minute trade would be right over here. Right? I'm pretty sure this is like a 2 minute gap or something, right? Yeah, so right, we have all these 2 minute gaps here. Inverse 2 minute gap, could have entered off of this inverse, stop loss here, break even at this low and then potentially seek lower, right? So we're aligning the 5 minute with the 1 minute. Now, unfortunately, I did not take this trade. This would have been a banger trade. I just wasn't awake at this time. To be honest with you, I just wasn't awake. I've been pretty tired, been doing some stuff, and so I just wasn't awake for this, right? But this is a prime definition of what the 5 minute framework can allow you to do. Now, price is dumping, right? So here is another reason why I want to get into this, why I want to talk about my model here. Price is dumping. We see this and we're like, okay, well, price is dumping. We just swept this. Some people might be like, oh yeah, we just swept sell side. I'm gonna be looking for longs now, right? I'm gonna be looking for longs here. We have, you know, an untapped 5 minute, an inverse for value gap trade to this 5 minute would be nice, right? Now, again, what I like about the 5 minute is it allows you to be comfortable with what you're seeing in the charts and not overanalyze. After this big displacement, what do you expect after it's just huge displacement is some chop, right? Price wants to recollect and decide what it wants to do, right? So sitting on the 5 minute, what allowed you to just, you know, avoid all of this chop right here, right? If you trade inverse for value gaps and then you're inside this chop looking to take an inverse to the upside, right? You could have taken this, right? Swept buy side. We swept the buy side. Oh yeah, this is good displacement here. Singular for value gap. We have an unfilled 5 minute here. Let's go ahead and target this, right? So this would have been a 1-to-1, right? And this actually ends up never happening. I mean, you could have maybe gone break even here and then your trade would have stopped out break even, right? So you're just sitting in chop, right? Again, the reason why I like the 5 minute framework using the O5 model is just because it allows you to avoid unnecessary trades when you don't necessarily have to take a trade, right? So I'm looking at this chop and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to take anything. There's literally nothing here for it. Nothing to happen, right? Literally zero. So again, price actually ends up coming lower and we actually end up taking a bunch of liquidity down over here, right? So we take up all of this liquidity sitting over here. And again, using the 5 minute as a framework, I'm not going to be taking any trade, right? The whole point of the O5 is using the 5 minute as a mapping tool. Again, I'm going to keep preaching this over and over again, right? 5 minute structure allows you to analyze the market, right? If there's no 5 minute gap, it's most likely going to be, if there's no 5 minute for value gap here with good displacement or anywhere happening, chances are we're probably going to be in chop, right? It's probably a bad price action and you shouldn't be trading in it. And that's what I mean by the 5 minute allows you to be a lot more comfortable, right? So we swept all of this. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we have a 5 minute gap here. We pretty much just inverse this. That does not necessarily mean anything, right? I'm waiting for more structure on the 5 minute. The 5 minute, again, we're using this as our mapping tool to distinguish where we want to take a trade, where we find our edge, right? So I see a 5 minute for value gap open up here. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we just swept sell side and we're currently really deep in discount. I want to see what price wants to do. And again, using the 5 minute as the framework, we're just sitting in chop, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. If you trade inverse for value gaps, you're definitely getting cooked around this area here, right? And again, just sitting on the 5 minute allows you to just sit on your hands and not take any unnecessary trades, right? So we're sitting on the 5 minute and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be using my model. And I want to see manipulation inside a fair value gap, right? And hopefully, you know, there's some sort of SMT or blah, 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 right? So we come up, right? Let me go ahead and look at the 1 minute for you guys. Here is a 5 minute for value gap. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. Here's our 5 minute for value gap. And here is our manipulation inside the 5 minute for value gap, right? This is the 1 minute model currently that we're in, right? So we end up coming up, tapping into the 5 minute, and we end up coming back down. I'm like, okay, well, I need to see manipulation around this area, right? This is my point of interest on the 5 minute. Again, we're using the 5 minute as our mapping tool, as our, you know, as our framework, right? And on the 5 minute, here is our manipulation. As you can see here, here is our true manipulation. Unfortunately, there is no SMT. If there was an SMT like this, this would have made this trade A plus 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 plus. You get what I'm saying? But unfortunately, no, right? All we have here is pretty much manipulation inside of fair value gap, which is my model. And I'm like, okay, I'm waiting to see if the 5 minute model wants to start clearing up in price. And how do I know whether or not that's going to happen? Well, I need to see, again, referring back to this first trade, I need to see a model like this. I need to see displacement. I need to see an order block. I need to see something happen within the 5 minute in order to dictate, price is slowly starting to pick up. It's starting to show what it wants to do, right? So using the 5 minute as a framework, right, we have a true manipulation. We re-tapped into this 5 minute fair value gap. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of interested now, right? Now, I could have taken an inverse fair value gap trade as soon as this manipulation thing happened, right? Here is your fair value gap. Here is your bullish fair value gap that ends up getting ran. I could have entered for some shorts right here. Stop loss here, and then target this low over here. That would have been fine. That would have been 69 points, 70 points. That would have been perfect. But again, I'm trusting my model. And again, I'm using the 5 minute as a framework. I want to be very cautious here just because we just ended up, because currently price action before this was just chopping around, right? And again, this is why I like using the 5 minute, right? Using the 5 minute as a framework, I get to distinguish what price wants to do and dictate after this chop, right? So we see this chop and we see our manipulation here, and I see that we're putting in a 5 minute order block sitting right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this blue. Right here is our order block, and I'm like, okay, so 5 minute tap, we have our manipulation here. This is my model. Now it's not an A++ model, but it's a model. This is around like a B model, right? Just because this is a 5 minute now, an hourly, etc., etc. We didn't take much buy side. We just ended up kind of just having our true manipulation here, kind of just internally, right? Not externally. So with that being said, I'm like, okay, well, we have our order block here, and looking at this 5 minute, we do have some nice sell side sitting down over here, and the 5 minute, I'm using the 5 minute as a framework, and I'm saying, okay, here's my model. Here's my point of interest. We tapped into it. There's a manipulation here. Now I'm looking for an entry, right? So looking at the 1 minute, where is my entry? Well, here is your order block sitting right over here. And not only that, we have a fair value gap right over here. I ended up entering off of this. As soon as I see that we tapped into, let me go ahead and check this. What is this? Oh yeah, so this was actually on the 2 minute, right? Time frame alignment, or time is fractal, right? So after this order block gets put in on the 5 minute, I'm looking at this 2 minute fair value gap, right? I'm looking at this 2 minute fair value gap. I'm just combining two fair value gaps together. Same thing would be applied on the 1 minute, right? I'm looking at this 2 minute fair value gap, and I'm like, okay, and I like the fact that we're coming back into it. And I actually ended up entering as soon as we start to see some rejection off of this. Stop loss around here, and I aim to target these lows down over here, right? And pretty much smooth sailing here, ends up taking my TP, and I'm done for the day, right? I caught my piece of the pie. Really, really good stuff happening, right? I avoided trading all of this chop right over here. I did not get, I did not take a single trade within this chop. Again, all because of the 5 minute framework and what the 5 minute presented to me. I'm like, okay, now it's time for me to take a trade. I like how the market is moving. I got to see what I needed to see in order for me to take a trade. And I actually entered, and there was my TP for 52 points, right? And that ended up making me 521 across 5 accounts. So you could easily do the math and tell me, or tell yourself, how much money that is, right? So again, really, really sick stuff. Really glad to see. Wanted to make this video just to showcase the 05 model, and using how important using the 5 minute framework is for me, and how I found it to be beneficial for my trading. And again, kind of just preaching out to you guys, and maybe you guys can start using the 5 minute as start looking and sitting on your hands on the 5 minute in order to dictate when or when not to take a trade, right? Here, when you take a trade, right? This is a point of interest where you take a trade. Why? Because the 5-minute, it's allowing you to take a trade. You're zooming out a bit more. Again, I talked about people using the hourly to, show their model being displaced, and higher time frame holds higher power. Higher time frame definitely holds higher power. If you too zoomed in on the 1 minute, you're going to be missing a lot of trades, right? The 1 minute is used for entry, right? So this is a point of interest, right? Using the 5-minute market structure, right? So this is the structure on the 5-minute. We avoided chop. Here's your true manipulation. Break a structure here, shift in price, retap into it, and then ends up continuing lower, right? You even have another, potential entry spot sitting down over here, right? So 2 entry spots, right? You don't trade here, right? I'm looking at the 5-minute. There's no reason for me to take a trade. Yeah, we swept south side. Yeah, there's a untapped 5-minute here that we might want to go into. But again, nothing I want to see. Literally nothing I want to see. There's no point in me taking a trade here. The reason is because there's no 5-minute structure here for me to take a trade. There's zero structure. The 5-minute is telling me not to take a trade. And we end up dumping, and we actually end up getting some chop here. But the 5-minute here, the 5-minute framework, the 5-minute market structure is allowing me to take a trade here. And the reason is because, we have a 5-minute gap. We entered it. Here is our true manipulation here. Again, unfortunately, there's no SMT. That would have been an A++. But this is enough for me to take a trade because, again, I'm sitting on the 5-minute. I'm waiting for my 5-minute structure. And this is my model, right? And again, I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, well, we tapped into the 5-minute. We have a true manipulation. I could have entered earlier on the inverse for rally gap I showed you guys, but I wanted to see a little bit more. I see this 5-minute order block being placed into, and I'm like, okay, this 5-minute order block is really nice. I really like how the 5-minute is looking. Again, I really like how the 5-minute is looking. That meaning I'm using the 5-minute structure. I'm using the 5-minute structure in order for me to take a trade, right? If the 5-minute structure is bad, I'm not taking a trade, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, I like this order block here. Let's go ahead and check if there's any potential entry model on, the lower time frame, just to get my little piece of the pie using the 5-minute framework. I do see that we have a 2-minute for rally gap here, pretty much retested this order block, and then we continue to go lower, right? Really, really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I love this. I love the current thing I'm, building. And again, just really building some conviction behind it, finding the ins and outs, what works and what doesn't work. And then, yeah, right. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys are taking it easy. Again, 2026 is coming up, and man, new year, new trader. You get what I'm saying? New year, new you. It's the same thing applies as trading, right? So shout out you guys. I will be doing a giveaway in my Discord, so go ahead and make sure to join the Discord. Link in the description below. By the way, it's just a community Discord. We just pretty much just talk about trading and just make fun of Project X for being shitty and stuff like that. But again, going to be doing a giveaway closer to next week. I'm going to be announcing, the giveaway, I think around Friday. And then I'm going to announce the winner for around Christmas time. It's going to be $100, right? $100. You could buy one eval account on whether it's Alpha Futures or whatever. It's going to be $100. So go ahead, join the Discord below. And if you want to go ahead and enter that, again, 2026, man, I am trying to go absolutely crazy for 2026. I'm absolutely hyped. And yeah, so wanted to make this video just to showcase, the O5 model, the O5 framework, and how I've been applying it to my trading. And yeah, so I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.